All right, so today's video I'm going to make is about improving your deadlift and how you can lift more weight, get stronger, and improve how much you lift, how much your one rep max is, and more importantly, before you because one rep max for a lot of people, squat, bench, deadlift requires a spotter. It requires some music usually. It requires definitely a lot of energy and adrenaline and a lot of basically fearlessness and courage. Basically. So in order to do that, you're going to have to be amped up. So improving your one rep max without actually doing your one rep max is simply to make sub-maximal weights lighter. And that's how you're going to get strong. And these tips that I'm going to share with you have been things that I've actually used that have helped me significantly in improving my deadlift. And I'm going to share them with you. The first thing is having a setup routine where you put your feet. When you get behind the bar, you plant your feet, you position yourself like this. I just, if I have a bar in front of me, I have this, it's automatic. I walk up to the bar, kind of pull my pants up, if I'm wearing pants, even shorts, I'll still do this. I think I got this from Mark Bell. I'll go up to the bar, I have a certain distance I like from my shins to the bar, I put my hands out in front of me, I brace my abs, get this external rotation torque, find my first grip, my weak hand, which is my right hand, left hand, my strong hand, set up, pull, and I get the bar, and I lift the bar off the ground. I rip that bitch off the ground, and I do that. I have a routine because it allows me to kind of not think about it. I have a setup that never changes, and that's sort of kind of the first thing I'm going to share with you. You got to have a setup routine, and this applies to actually all lifts. Snatch, clean and jerk, bench press, squat. Got to have a consistent setup, and this is something I've heard dozens of times from when Mark Bell's talking to Ed Cohn about Jeremy Hamilton. These are world-class powerlifters, or just even high-level golfers. When I was learning about golf, they have a pre-shot routine before they hit the ball. For golf, they have a setup routine of where they're going to aim, and it's consistent because a big part of golf is being consistent. You want to get birdies, you want to get below par, or get at least score par. And in weightlifting, powerlifting, Olympic lifting, whatever it may be, lifting heavy weights, you have to make sure that you have a good setup routine when it comes to these particular lifts. That way, you don't have to think about it. It's one less thing that you don't have to think about. Because if you have to think about it, it's going to change a lot of stuff. And this kind of leads me into the second thing. You want that pre-lifting routine because you want to be able to be consistent with the way you lift each and every single time. That's how you deadlift more weight. You have a consistent way of how you lift. And this is what's going to allow you to get strong really quickly, because then you have a technique, a way of holding the bar, the way of setting up, a way of bracing your abs, and a way of ripping that bitch off the ground, ripping that barbell off the ground with a shitload of plates on it. And your way of measuring that against how you're doing, whether it be sumo, whether it be kind of doing over under, whether you're this way, or however you hold it, it's consistent. And that way you have a way to measure it so that okay, these are what I've been working on, this is what works. And that way you stay consistent. So when you get a tip, you hear something from me or you hear something from somebody else, you can implement it by only changing one thing, and you can see if it works for you or not. Because a lot of the time when you're learning how to deadlift or improve strength in any particular lift, you don't have a good routine down, or you don't know what your routine is, or maybe you're not aware of it, and it's not consistent. So when you hear a really cool idea, like from me or some other video or anywhere else, you end up changing 5 things instead of one thing, and then you don't even know if it's working. So that's one of the reasons why I've been able to get fairly good progress to the deadlift, is because I've been able to have a consistent setup, and I know that when I'm changing something, I know what it feels like. And the third thing, deadlift more regularly. Deadlift 3 to 4 days a week. Now, does this mean that you need to deadlift heavy 3 to 4 days a week? No. I deadlift heavy about once every other week is about kind of what I've been following. I'll try to do 2 weeks in a row where I lift heavy, like super heavy, but it's kind of hard to deadlift 500 pounds every week without feeling completely beat up, especially when I'm squatting and I'm benching and I'm doing other things. So I find that the one thing I learned from Mark Bell was to deadlift heavy every other week. But when it comes to actually, when I say 3 or 4 days a week, you're just practicing the movement. I mean, maybe you get 135 pounds and you just deadlift that for 3 sets of 5, you know, and all you're doing is you're practicing your setup and you're practicing your lift. That's all you're doing. All this is preparation. You're practicing. You know, training is training. Training is practice. That is what you're doing. Just you need to know what it is you're practicing for and how you're practicing it. The cool thing I like about CrossFit, what makes it sort of interesting to me, is that there's always a methodical way to strategize each workout. Although I'm not good at it, nor do I typically like the workouts, I can respect that there is a skill involved and an ability of not just like thinking ahead and having a good strategy, but also being able to have the fitness level, work capacity, and the skill to accomplish all the movements and try to get a good score. Again, relating this to powerlifting or improving your lifts in any lift, say Olympic lifting, you got to build strength. In order to build strength, you need to have one technique, and in order to have one technique, you need to get good at that one technique. You practice your setup as best you can, and then once you set up you practice your setup best you can, you keep trying to refine that movement. You get better and better and better, and then you get to a point where you get stuck, right? And then what happens? You make an adjustment. But you need to know what adjustments to make. Now, that's not always easy to say, but if you are always lifting heavy all the time, I'm going on a little rant here, but if you're always lifting heavy all the time, what you're going to find out is that you're not able to do enough volume. If you're snatching 90%, 85%, you're missing lifts, it's really hard to know what you're doing wrong if you're not accomplishing all your lifts. So this is kind of why 70, 85% is pretty much the best place to kind of stay around, because the weight is heavy, but it's not too heavy. Typically 80 to 85%, you're going to make the lift. You're not going to miss it. 90%, 95%, you're kind of in a zone where you can miss it. So, and that way, in the 70 to 85% range, you're able, of your 1 repetition max, you're able to do more volume, you're able to do more reps, you're able to do more practice repetitions, you're able to do lots of practice. That way you can practice setup, you can practice technique, you can refine your skill, and then what you can do is you can adjust your skill as you begin to get stuck. But then there are things you need to be thinking about. You can't think of anything else. Otherwise, it's hard to make improvement. You have no way of being consistent. So that's kind of my viewpoint. Hope you got something from this video. Again, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, click like. Share it with a friend if you know anyone that wants to improve their deadlift. And help me grow my subscriber base. I like to make more of these videos, and I like to do more of these because they're fun for me. Thanks for watching.